Good morning, guys. It is absolutely gorgeous outside. We are live here on a Tuesday. It is the 26th of November, slowly creeping up on Thanksgiving holiday coming up here. And, you know, we're all about kind of chatting with our first responders here in Central Florida. Yesterday, we were with the one and only Chief Jakari Young from Daytona Beach Police Department. And today I have the absolute luxury and privilege of having a local first responder, an award-winning first responder. Welcome inside Results One, Mr. Scotland. How are you, sir?
Good yourself.
Not too bad, man. I can tell you, I've had definitely a lot of people in this truck, but I have yet to have a medical professional in the vehicle.
Thank you.
That is as dedicated as you are. So first and foremost, who are you, man? Where are you from? Tell me a little bit about yourself.
My name is Scotland Hamlin. I was actually born and raised in the Air Force till my dad retired.
Oh, I like it.
So I've got to see South Carolina,
Okay.
Patrick Air Force Base, and then when we got reassigned to England,
Okay.
then upstate New York. Then my dad retired and we came down here because my grandmother and grandfather were down here.
Nice, man. So where were you born?
I was born in Charleston Heights, South Carolina.
Okay. So do you claim Florida as home?
I do. Florida is where I've known most since
Okay.
'89.
All right. I was 2 years old in '89. So tell me a little bit about what motivated you to really get into the first responder world. So we had a little preview conversation for those of you guys at home before we got live here, and you told me you've done some other jobs before becoming an EMT.
My first job out of the Army.
Okay.
I left Central Florida to join the U.S. Army from '96 to 2001 on
Okay.
active duty. When I came back just after 9/11, I went to work in December of 2001 to
Right.
2006 for Walt Disney World
Oh.
while attending college for a little bit.
So I did it the opposite way. I worked at Disney out of high school and then joined the Air Force. It was a little weird. What'd you do at Disney?
First 10 months, I was actually food and beverage, Magic Kingdom, outdoor foods.
All right.
Then I transferred
Sure,
to
that was fun.
getting to know Walt Disney World, Magic Kingdom especially, plenty of walking every day.
Yeah, you definitely get your steps in for sure.
Then
So-
I moved from that to security.
Okay.
And stayed in security till I left there in 2006 to come to work for an EMS.
So you said you went through some like bike training and all that stuff. So were you the days of like Pleasure Island?
I was there before the end of Pleasure Island.
Oh man, I worked for Kodak at Pleasure Island at like 17 years old. Saw things I never thought I'd see in my entire life.
I believe it. My aunt has actually worked for one of the Kodak processing there for a while also.
Oh, nice. Awesome. So having that security experience, did you know you wanted to get into EMS?
What actually got me into EMS was a couple months after I got out of the military, and I was back in work. Had just started at Disney, came home from shift, and my dad was sitting in the recliner just relaxing. And at the time, I didn't realize he'd had a heart attack.
Wow.
So a couple hours later, I was woken up, and someone had found him. He had fallen asleep and passed away in his sleep.
I'm sorry to hear that, man.
Unfortunately, it happens, and I've learned through both my work and through religiously that death happens, but it's just our body and our spirit that leads us.
You kind of triggered me a little bit. I just lost my dad
Sorry to hear that.
recently, and it was very similar. And healthy, happy guy, and then one day he just had a heart attack, and it was over. So I can understand the kind of motivation for someone that didn't have the medical experience at the time to probably think, I could do something about this. So talk to me a little bit of what that journey sent you on.
I continued to work at Disney, did EMT school at Valencia when it was a community college.
All right. Man, you're real local. I don't care what North Carolina, South Carolina stuff. You're a Floridian. Like,
I graduated from West Orange High School in class of '95.
Okay, nice. So you were going to school at the same time.
Going to school in the evenings, then worked third shift security out at Disney.
Okay.
Then when I finally did my state testing, one of my first jobs was for Rural Metro Ambulance.
Oh, back in the day.
I work out of the same station now as I started in 2006.
So just the name has changed. The building's still the same.
A little bit of decor design difference
Or the graphics
in ownership.
and stuff, yeah. So talk to me a little bit, and for those that don't know, like you work for a private company. This company provides medical services for contracted areas that choose to use you guys as a service, right?
Yes.
Is that basically it in a nutshell?
That is part of it. We provide services. We have a partnership with the City of Orlando Fire Department.
Okay.
We do transports out of Universal Studios, Florida. Also, we have a partnership with Orlando International Airport and Orlando Health.
So when you guys say partnership, and so for me, and I'm not a medical guy, so I'm almost asking these questions to help me out a little bit. Obviously, the City of Orlando has a very large fire rescue unit. When you guys say you're assisting them, explain that to me a little bit.
We have, depending on the time frame, multiple units assigned to assist them. Their dispatch will send our calls on where they need us to fill in gaps.
Is that because they do get so busy?
That plus some of their lower priority unit, depending on what their triage system they're using, they will depend on what they need us for.
So you guys are almost there as definitely an assistance to them so that they can respond to much more active and higher priority kind of calls.
Yes.
How has that experience been? What was the change in going from rural to AMR? How was that for you?
When I first started, we covered on the west side from Hiawassee Road.
Okay.
North up to just before Apopka. South all the way to Waterbridge in OBT area.
That's a huge coverage
and
area.
East all the way to Cimarron Goldenrod area.
That's massive.
It is.
For the highway patrol, that's 2 patrol zones in an area that the local people are covering maybe just a quarter of that. Unbelievable.
Now we cover 4 to 5 counties.
Okay, explain that, because now you just blew my head off here. So you guys are contracted here, but you could be responding all over the place.
Our operation, if anyone gets admitted from any Orlando Health freestanding ER, medical plaza,
right?
If they get admitted, the freestanding ERs do not have rooms to continue treatment.
Good point.
So we get the pleasure and the opportunity to transport the people from the freestandings to their parent hospital.
Makes sense. So someone like you've been doing this obviously quite some time, and your responses, I'm sure, have been extremely diverse. Whether you're working in the city or in a rural area, I'm sure you have seen it all.
I've seen quite a bit. I've seen cars that we got on scene and we thought it was 2 cars, but it was actually 1 car that got split in half after it ran into a tree.
Just crazy stuff. Now, I know for me, it is not, even now, I've been a news anchor for going on 8 years. Still a reserve highway patrol trooper, and I can't shut it off sometimes. And even when I'm off and I'm Trooper Steve, I can't shut the first responder off. And there have been times on my live streams where I've had to stop them because something's happening, and I'll be like, Thomas, I gotta do something here, or a crash occurs or something, and I just react. You're wearing some really nice bling today. You've got some nice gear on. I'm not talking about your awards and your badge. I'm talking about this life-saving star medal that you've got. I've read a little bit about what led up to this. Talk to me a little bit about what happened, because it's a really interesting story.
It was a Sunday. I'm on my way home from church, and I'm right around the corner from my house, about to turn left, go down the street where I live.
So it's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, roughly?
About that time frame,
Okay.
yeah. And and I see one of our smaller units, just sitting there with its lights on in a service road that goes to a power substation.
And that stuck out to you.
I'm like, why am I one of our units near my house? We're almost never in this area.
Okay.
So I pull over, go over, safely turn around, get out of my truck, and I walk open the door, and I see two of our EMTs. One I trained earlier that year.
You are a field training officer.
And they have a Baker Act, a legal psychiatric hold,
right,
that was attempting to hurt themselves in my crew.
Like
members.
Actively fighting in the back of the rescue.
Yes. Had already tried to get out of the seatbelts, was attempting to try to possibly elope or escape.
Wow. So?
I ended up getting in the back of the truck, helping secure the patient, form a bond with the patient, got a hold of the supervisor, said, "Hey, this is what's going on. Do you can I ride in with them for the rest of this transport?"
Because you've built the rapport at that point.
It took a little bit, and it's like any patient, you want to talk to them.
Right.
You just treat them like humans. And one of my lines I like to use is, I'm just the person who transports you from point A to B. I don't do the placements. If you don't agree with being a Baker Act, let the people know at the facility.
Right.
And
do you think that person just needed explanation, or because of what they were going through, how you encountered it is what needed to happen?
I think part of it was that she was upset because an event that was going on that weekend, she really wanted to go to. And her family thought there was other things going on with her.
Interesting. Are you guys given, because I don't know, this is, for the record, ladies and gentlemen, this is my very first time meeting Mr. Hamlin, and instantly you do have an aura about you. And it's not, you're a big guy. I would not mess with you. But you do have this very caring, I'm here to do a job because that's what God has put me on this earth to do, and I just want to take care of people. Do you guys receive any like CIT training or anything to that level? Because just being and listening to you talk, it feels like you have some of that training in you.
I've received some training, but a lot of it comes from on the job.
So when you say that comes from on the job, explain that. I understand that, but explain that to me, because a lot of that I think comes from trial and error. But explain that from a personal standpoint for those that don't know where you're coming from.
From a personal perspective, my family, like many, when I was growing up, we did counseling.
Right.
And I've been offered to do counseling. I've worked at a children's youth camp as a high school after I graduated from high school.
Wow.
So we had to get some training on empathy trainings, how to safely confront people that are having a bad day.
And I think that's okay to have a bad day. And I think when a first responder arrives and they are able to have that relatability, does that make
Yes.
Because I think sometimes we get on scene and it's like, this is my scene and I'm just going to handle this and we're in and out. And it's like, you got to remember you're part of the same community that you're dealing with people. And when you approach it from, I think, the perspective that you're having, I think the results are much faster and better on both sides, right?
It is. And I'm on it, try to be honest with most of my patients. And most of my line most of the time when I go, "Hey, how are you doing? My name's Scotland. I'm here to transport you to whatever location. And need to use the restroom or anything before we go?" Because it could be, depending on the transfer, could be a 8 to 10 minute for a shortest distance, all the way up to 90 minutes to 2 hours.
So it sounds like transparency is your game.
It is.
Kind of thing. Like if people understand what's exactly happening, they're a little bit more cooperative.
Being honest with most people, I found, does that. And I've had the people that are just like, "I don't want to go. You can't force me to go." And sometimes I'm like, unfortunately, because of the Baker Act, you can't. That choice has been taken away from you temporarily.
Right. That option's not on the table at the moment.
So you can either go comfortably. We can put you on the stretcher. We'll put a blanket on you, put some seat belts on you. I check your vitals, and we just check
Go
a few
along for the
things.
ride kind of thing.
And I'll let you sit and relax. To the point that, unfortunately, when we have to secure someone with additional restraints,
Gotcha.
which is my last choice, or chemical restraints, which becomes a call with a paramedic on board.
Gotcha. Because the paramedic is the one administering the medicines.
Sometimes the doctors will give it beforehand to let it kick in,
Okay.
but the monitoring of a patient who's been sedated is a advanced life support skill.
So, rewinding a little bit back to the event, that off-duty event, did you even think, oh man, I'm not on duty? That never even crossed your mind. It's just, let me get out of my car, I'm going to go check on this, something's not right.
I did, and the funny thing is, that day I was wearing a comfortable pair of tennis shoes, jeans, a long-sleeve dress shirt, and a tie.
So you were definitely not looking like what you're looking right now.
No.
Funny story, my wife used to work in downtown Orlando, and I was visiting her after my shift here, and unfortunately a transient had walked by and thrown a huge rock through the store she was working at, shattered the window. So me being me, I'm not going to let that happen. And I jump out and I end up chasing this guy down Mills in a 3-piece suit. What is happening right now? What
Distracted driver. Maybe.
is happening?
Or just
All right, we're going to give, you want to see this? Watch this. Clown number 1. This is what we call the clown count for people.
Okay.
And then we have a clown that pops up
Oh, even better.
right here because I'm not allowed to curse, so we call them clowns. Unbelievable. And this is what drives me. This is what I call job security, because people just stop in the middle of the road for no reason. It's like, come on, the lane's not moving anywhere. But I end up chasing this guy down Mills, 3-piece suit, signal 0, just going. OPD shows up, and they're like, dude, you haven't chased anybody in years. I go, yeah, I know. That's why I'm out of breath right now. But so because of those actions, your company recommended you for an award.
I actually got 4 rewards out of it.
Okay. And you don't seem like you're a guy that likes the attention.
No. I am one of those, I like to blend into the background.
Okay, all right. So then tell me how you became aware of this award. What was the experience like up in D.C., things like that?
The first 2 rewards I won, I didn't even realize it. I got EMT of the Year for 2023 for our operation.
Awesome.
And what they called Hometown Hero Award, which they created
I'm here for that. Good for you, man.
at the Christmas party that I wasn't at. I found out a couple weeks late, after the fact.
You and I are similar, dude. And I know probably some of my New 6 people are going to watch this, but I don't go to the Christmas parties or any of that stuff just because I'm just like, nah, it is what it is. But you received an award and you weren't even there. So did you get a phone call? Did they tell you, hey, Scotland, where you at, kind of thing?
No, I was actually on shift while the company party's going on. I'm an overnight shift worker.
Okay. You prefer the overnight?
Yes.
Okay.
I am not a fan of Orlando traffic unless I have to deal with it.
Preach, me either. That's why I don't deal with it, I just talk about it.
And I've learned back ways around Orlando that people are like, you can get from one side of town to the other without getting on the 408, I-4, the Turnpike, or the 528.
Preach it, brother. Preach it. So, okay, first you got the holiday party, you got recommended for that. Talk to me about the DC experience, because
The DC experience, okay. The Washington, D.C., I got a call back in June, July timeframe. I was on vacation. I'm sitting in my truck with my mom.
okay.
We just got left running some errands. And my boss, Chris, calls me and goes, hey, what's your plans November 10th through the 13th? Well, they had posted at our station nominate people for this award. I jokingly said, I'm going to Washington, D.C. And he's like, yes, you are. You're allowed to bring a guest. And this is over the Bluetooth in my truck.
Okay.
So my
your
mom's
with you. Yes.
hearing this. I said, hey, Mom, what's your plans November 10th to the 13th? You want to go to Washington, D.C. with me?
Done.
And she's like, yeah. So the company was nice enough to give us additional uniforms to wear for work when we're out there, like I'm wearing now.
So it's nice and fancy, looking nice and new kind of stuff, because you guys are workers, you're not no admin guy. So you got up to DC.
We got up there on a Sunday, the 10th. We had a dinner and awards just for the GMR people,
That's
which
really
there was
cool.
33 of us and our guests. So we get to meet the our CEO, the COO, the chief medical officer, shake their hands, get a challenge coin from them, and then have a dinner, and they talked about what we did and pulled us up on stage. We're all in our dress. We weren't even in uniforms for that one. I was wearing a suit.
Very nice.
Suit, tie, and a jacket.
That must have been fun, though.
It was. Then the next morning, which happened to be Veterans Day,
Okay.
we had a breakfast, and we got to meet 110 more Stars Alive from other organizations from the country.
So all you guys were basically nominated throughout the country and then brought to DC to be recognized.
Yes, by the American Ambulance Association.
That's really cool.
It is, and it was fun. Monday was a award presentation, and then doing some training on how and what the points to talk about with the legislators.
Okay.
Then Monday afternoon, they were nice enough to give us some free time and give us tram tickets.
So you got to go explore a little bit.
So we went to the Smithsonian Air and Space and the Native American Museum.
Isn't it amazing up there, just the history that's there and all the different monuments and stuff?
It's great. And the Monday night, that night, they actually did a private bus tour for us.
Okay.
Around Washington, D.C. and got to go visit the exhibits at night and get some pictures in.
So when you received your award, what was that like for you? Because I know based off of the 20 minutes you've been in a truck so far, you just want to do your job. You want to make sure people are safe. But let's be real. It had to be pretty cool to be recognized for a job that from everybody outside the job is pretty thankless. And to just have your supervision and your coworkers nominate you for something you didn't even do on duty, that's got to be like, man, I'm working at the right place.
I am, and I got to hear the stories of some of the other fellow first responders and ground and air crews across country that they went out of their way sometime. Some of them, I got to meet a respiratory therapist that she was at her temporary base, went out to dinner, then attended to a shooting victim outside the hotel.
Wow. So it's almost like you were there and you're like, I'm not alone in this. I'm surrounded by people that I work with that have the same mentality as you do. I think that alone would be like, I've made the right decision to dedicate so many years to a company.
And one of the speakers they had presented to us was someone that was a paramedic that was working the road and got involved with an accident while she was responding to a call. And she talked about her experiences going from being the provider to being the patient.
And that is a scary feeling, because first responders, we do not like to feel helpless.
No, we don't.
Or out of the control of that stressful environment. I tell people all the time, I'm like, I operate way better under stressful situations than I do the calm stuff. Because the calm stuff makes me nervous. It's like, no, something's got to be happening kind of thing. So that's got to be awesome, though, to be there. And how many people total were at this award ceremony?
143 people were awarded, and 6 or 8 were not available to go.
Okay.
Either because they had to work, or the reward was given after they'd passed.
Gotcha.
From other circumstances.
Oh, okay. Here in the state of Florida, or at least in our Central Florida area, are you the only person with this award currently?
There was a total of 3 from Florida. I'm the only one from Central Florida. The 2 other were from another ambulance operation in Tampa,
Okay.
Largo, Florida area.
Gotcha. So what does the future have for Scotland? Like what you've done a lot of years in EMS. I always love to bring up retirement and things like that, but you seem like you're having a good time still.
I'm not going to retire anytime soon. My body, until I can no longer do this job, I'm probably going to be working.
And where does that mentality come from?
I've seen too many people that once EMS or being a first responder gets in your blood, it's hard to get it out.
Yeah. It's almost hard to stop working, too. I know a lot of guys that retired from law enforcement, they do 25, 27 years, and then they don't do anything 2-3 years, and then they end up having a heart attack, or their body starts giving out. And it's like, no, the ones that stay active and still in the game, but obviously paying attention to their bodies, but they're like, no, I got to keep my mind going, and I still enjoy the job, so why not keep doing it?
And that's, for me, it's going to be eventually possibly go back to school.
Okay.
Either go paramedic and RN, or maybe RT.
Is that something that you guys support within your organization? Is
The
upgrading
paramedic, yes. RN or RT is more towards the hospital side.
Now, do you guys have a branch of nurses within your company, or is it all paramedics and nurses?
We do have air and ground operations that do have RNs and RTs.
So where is AMR have a helicopter at?
Not here in Orlando.
I was about to say, because some of our people would be like, this is our airspace, but I've never seen an AMR helicopter.
It's actually under the GMR
Gotcha.
umbrella category.
Is there one here in Florida somewhere?
Not that I know of.
Okay.
We don't deal with the air side as much, but we do go out to NASA.
Yes, so you guys are
So we have
a
partnership with NASA. So flight crews will come in, and we take them they stay in Orlando, then we take them out in units to go out and do the manned space launches.
You guys see how he's smiling as he's talking about that? Because it's probably exciting work.
I've never been out there yet, because NASA is their standards. They want a certain level of care provider.
Gotcha. But you've got to witness it and see it all go down, I'm sure.
From here, yes, and NASA in the space industry is one of the biggest, a very big part of the Central Florida industry.
Now, are you guys the same? And before we wrap it, I've got all these questions coming to my head. Are you guys the same company that's contracted with the Speedway?
We do have a NASA a contract with
Daytona
NASCAR.
Yes, because
we have teams that travel with the NASCAR circuit.
Like awesome rides. Like I did a story out there recently, and they had 2 Porsches and 2 pickup trucks with AMR completely decked out, and I thought it was the coolest thing I've ever seen. Obviously, it's just for the track, but it'd be pretty sick to see you flying down I-4 in one of these Porsche SUVs responding to an incident. I'm just saying. Let's
not, because I'd hate to see
the incident that you're going to.
Yes, and trying to get medical equipment out of some of those vehicles.
Touche. They were very customized in the back there, but sir, I want to say thank you for just giving me some of your time today. I know you're not out there for the attention, and if you were, I wouldn't be talking with you. But what you do doesn't go unrecognized. The fact that you have a life of service, and that's not, I don't think it's not uncommon for people like you. I think what we see is these military families, you ended up going into the military, and then still serving at a theme park, and then say, I want to do more, and continuing whether you're on or off duty. So I hope, now that we've made this contact, maybe I can come ride a shift with you one time.
I will check to see the way they can work with that.
Yeah, I think, or we just do an equipment overview one day. I'd love to come out here. You guys have an amazing facility that check out some of your rescues and some of the command responses and stuff like that, because I do think there is an unfamiliarity to the citizens about what AMR actually does. And I think it'd be really cool to show them.
And I'd be honored to try and help set that up with our
and then you'll be in charge, and you can take me around and show me all this stuff. So guys, if you are interested in more information on AMR, they have a great website. They have a social media presence out there. But they are here. They are first responders here in our community, whether they're on duty or off duty like Scotland out here helping out his partners. But from News 6 and myself, we want to appreciate all our first responders, and you can find out more about Scotland and his award over at clickorlando.com. So, sir, you have a great Thanksgiving.
Of course, you too.
And tell everybody I said hi. I know they're watching us on Paramount because he told us that his family's News 6 fans. So we appreciate that. So, sir, we'll see you later.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And guys, talk to you later.